welcome to the newest installment of the Untitled Film Nerd Project. My name is Philip, and joining me as always is Teacher.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk about The Dead Center. Before we get into it, spoiler warning now! If you want to avoid spoilers, skip ahead to the time code you see on the screen. Alright, so let's get into it.
And what'd you think of this one?
This is another one I went into knowing nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then after watching it and seeing the poster for it, I was like, oh yeah, TJ asked me about this one.
Mm-hmm.
So luckily I didn't store it in my memory banks.
Good.
I liked it.
Okay, good.
I don't usually use this word to describe horror movies, but I thought it was neat.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a neat little story. Kind of reminded me of a mashup of Ringu, and I guess maybe a bit of Pulse and Cell, the Stephen King book, not this shitty movie he's disowned.
Yeah.
What I'm also impressed by is that this seems to be a feature-length adaptation of one of the director Billy Sinise's short movies, The Suicide Tapes.
Interesting.
And it sounds like Jeremy Childs reprises his role. In this one, he's Michael Clark, but in the short film, he's John Clark. But he's also in another short that sounds like it could be in the same universe called Intruder, but I haven't seen them, so I don't know for sure. I thought it was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, yeah, I dug it. What about you?
Same. Like, I thought this was it wasn't super fun.
Right, yeah.
But it was very intriguing, and it kept my attention the entire time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You brought it up, what it kind of reminded me of is, there's parts that reminded me of Pulse, but it also reminded me of the Denzel Washington movie, Fallen.
Oh, I haven't seen that, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. But yeah, those two movies are the ones that it kind of reminded me of the most.
Okay.
But yeah, overall, it was good.
Right on. Well, there were some things that I did like. I like the idea. I thought it was pretty neat. I'll keep saying neat because it was just neat. I thought they introduced the concept well. I enjoyed how they let the story unfold. I like that they gave us backstory to the lore, but never over-explained it because it wasn't necessary. Now, there is a caveat I have with that, but I'll touch on that in a bit. But I will say the movie at least didn't treat the audience like morons. I think the thing I liked the most was that it went about telling the story without feeling overly tropey.
Mm-hmm.
Except for one thing, which I'll get to in a bit. It was, for the most part, a competent, well-executed, and interesting concept.
Mm-hmm.
I think pretty much every technical aspect was strong. This is one of those movies that was obviously a low-budget horror movie that didn't feel like a low-budget horror movie.
Yeah.
The directing was very solid. The strength of this movie, in my opinion, is in the acting. Billy Sinise wrote and directed it, so he knew what he wanted his actors to do, and you could tell. I think this is a case of a good director and good actors finding each other to bring a story to life, so to speak. Props to Shane Carruth, who was Dr. Forrester.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we had this channel when we watched it years ago, but he's the writer, director, and co-star of Primer.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's the movie that put him on the map. But everyone did great. The aforementioned Jeremy Childs, who looks like he could be related to Michael Shannon, and seems to be in pretty much all of Sinise's work, did a fantastic job in this film of playing a literal tortured soul. From facial expressions, or lack thereof when he was catatonic, to the twitching and seizures, I thought he played the part very well. Another acting thing I liked, and I use acting in quotations there, is that all the actors in the hospital looked like real people.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they are real people, yes, clearly. But I mean, they all look like they worked there. Like, all too often in bigger budget movies, everyone is too polished.
Pretty.
Yeah, too Hollywood, And this one looked like the casting director hired the actual hospital staff. And I thought it was cool. And I thought it was cool that Michael didn't die with 1 or 2 crowbar shots to the head.
Mm-hmm.
Normally in movies, it's like, wham, wham, and they're dead. This one took like 500. Like, he was just beating the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And those are the things that stuck out to me. What about you?
You touch on a lot of it already. Number one thing that stuck out to me the most was the acting.
Yeah.
From
definitely
the main character of Daniel
mm-hmm.
to, I don't even know if I would even consider him an antagonist for the most part, but of Michael. And you brought up Michael being a tortured soul. Also, Daniel was very tortured.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And I really appreciated that he wasn't, knight in shining armor, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But he had a lot of flaws.
Yeah, yeah.
And much of what he did was extremely illegal.
Sorry. I also like that they explain, kind of like with the lore, they explained his backstory, but didn't go we didn't get flashbacks. or anything like over expository. It was just like,
Yeah.
his mom committed suicide when he was 11. He's fucked up, period.
And that in and upon itself is another thing I like. There was no exposition dumps anywhere in this film.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So bravo on that.
Mm-hmm.
I also very much liked the ambiguity of the lore.
Yeah, oh yeah.
This wasn't based on any kind of religion. It wasn't Christian based. It wasn't, Jewish based. There was no religion involved in this, but it was an entity of some kind that mankind had wrote about it at some point.
Right.
I very much liked that. It was a definition of cosmic horror.
Yeah.
So those were two of the main things that stuck out the most to me.
Right on. Well, there were some things I thought could have been improved.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier, the tropey thing I mentioned earlier, and one you brought up to me since you started it before I did, the loud, clangy jump scares.
Yes.
But inside of that is the main issue, I think, is the only real detraction from the movie, is that it was edited very abrasively.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm sure was entirely the point, but I don't think it was really needed, because what was there was more than enough to sell the story.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't all the time, but when it was there, it stuck out like a loud thumb.
Yeah.
The caveat I had earlier with the lore and whatnot is the detective. Now, as a whole, I didn't mind his character. He was purely there for exposition and for some backlog on what was going on. But I wondered to myself, what if he hadn't been there?
Mm-hmm.
What if you just omitted him completely from the story? Because typically in these types of movies, the person who gets all the info is the one who knows how to stop it. And that wasn't the case this time.
Yeah.
But what would the story have felt like had we had no backstory and no exposition?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it would have been better. And better is not the right word, because it was absolutely fine the way it was. But imagine a story if we'd been left in the dark. Just take out the cop, his investigation, visiting the parents' house, all of it. It all plays out exactly the same. And I wonder if it would have been maybe creepier or more unsettling. I don't know. It's just a thought, like omitting the cop altogether. I thought it was odd that the head doctor didn't fire him on the spot.
Yeah.
Like she said, they were lucky to not get a lawsuit. That seems like ground for immediate termination.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my personal nitpick. And this is very much a nitpick. It was a bit jarring that when Dr. Forrester was shown handcuffed to the bed, he was barefoot and wandering the hospital as such. But when he showed up to the Clark's residence, he found his shoes. I know it's a nitpick, but he stole the woman's keys. He took off running out of the hospital. I think it would have made the scenes even more realistic feeling had he still been barefoot when he got to the houses and was wandering from house to house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I thought it was a little but that's just me nitpicking. And that's it for me. What about you?
The only thing I didn't like was the final confrontation between him and the entity.
What's that?
And it would have been the moment that he started attacking the entity, or the entity attacked him.
Mm-hmm.
It was, again, just that camera moving around so quickly and swaying left, right, and just literally couldn't tell what the hell was going on. And at one point he got the upper hand, and I'm like, I guess so. I don't really understand how, but okay.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much my number one nitpick right there. And what you had brought up about the jarring use of edits and sound.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right.
That's it for me.
All things considered, would you recommend it?
Yes, but I cannot recommend it to everyone.
Yeah, exactly the same for me. I have written down, like, would you recommend it? I just have, yeah. Yeah. I thought it was neat. Again, not as for everyone, I don't think, as some other movies we've seen recently. But yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
Awesome.
Anything else you would like to add?
No, I think that's about it.
Well, that wraps up this episode. Thank you for listening. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. Share it with your friends or cool people who might dig the Vizcast. Please subscribe to the channel, including hitting that notification bell to stay up to date on the newest content. And there is a link in the description below for the Patreon that covers all of the creative endeavors, as well as access to bonus content. So please consider showing your support. And until next time, my name is Philip.
And I'm TJ.
And we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.
Bye.